Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking the best legendary armors in Baldur's Gate 3 on a tier list. Now, I also added some others that are very rare, but pretty much are legendary with how good they are. So the first thing we got here is the Dusk armor. So the big shining thing about this one is it gives proficiency to anyone that does not have heavy armor proficiency. So that means Gale, who is 12 levels a wizard, can wear this and have a good armor class. So it's actually worth its weight in gold. If you have someone that's not multi-classed, you can get a really high armor class that way, and I think that's really huge, the biggest benefit of it. And also, it has the highest armor class out of any armor in the game, having a base 21 armor class. So not only that, but it's a very powerful one, and whenever you succeed a saving throw, the caster will get the burning status for 3 turns. So that's another nice benefit. They will take 1d4 fire damage, so you can do a little bit of damage from succeeding saving throws. And also you have resistance to fire damage, which is a very common damage type, and you cannot be burned. And then you take 3 less damage from all sources. So that is the highest amount of damage that we're going to get reduced by anything. So all in all, this is a pretty good armor to get. I think the armor persistence is a little bit better in my opinion, but this gives free proficiency, and it also gives a level 3 fly spell. So you can fly around with this. This is one of the hardest to get, so I am going to put it in the S tier because it is extremely powerful. If I put it anything lower than S tier, I'd have someone complain about it. So yeah, it's definitely S tier because it gives free proficiencies. So your wizards and anyone else that just wears light armor can have this. So I'd recommend saving it for the people that don't have armor proficiencies, and then use the armor persistence on someone that may have armor proficiency, because it's going to be, I would say the armor persistence ends up being better defensively. So yeah, the Dusk armor is still very incredible. Next, we got the Gloves of Soul Catching. You can get this alongside the Dusk armor. Now, this is the best item for a monk because it'll add an additional 1 to 10 force damage to your unarmed attacks. What's nice about unarmed attacks is all monks get Flurry of Blows, which allows them to punch. So that's a 1d10 twice. So upwards of 20 extra damage just from that alone is incredible. The open hand monk also has a bunch of different actions that they can use to do double attacks. And then on top of that, you also get soul catching. So once per turn, you can heal for 10 health on a unarmed attack. So that's just flat out great damage. And then if you're already full of health, you can actually choose to, instead of getting that healing, you can choose to get advantage on attack rolls and saving throws until the next turn. So that's also really good because if you're at full health, you can just get advantage on your attacks, so you're going to be much more likely to land them. And you also get saving throw advantage, which means you're going to succeed on spells that you'll be getting hit with. Also, the monks already have pretty good chance of not getting hit by a spell, so just further ups it. On top of that, it also gives you a +2 to your constitution. So these are easily, if you're a monk, you don't have to have these, but this is extremely useful. On every other class, it's next to useless, unless you just like that +2 constitution and, yeah, because its main 2 benefits are for unarmed attacks. But I think it's an S tier item. Definitely S tier, but I'm going to put it in the A tier because you have to be a monk. If you're not a monk, my logic, I guess, here is S tier is good on any class. A tier is really good, but you have to be a specific build to get the most out of it. And this is definitely an item that you get the most out of if you're a monk. So yeah, I'm going to throw in the A tier just because it's mainly just focused on being a monk. Next, we got the Hel of Baldur. So this is a medium armor. What's nice about this is it'll heal you for 2 at the start of each turn. What's also nice about that is if you have the ring that'll give Bless on heals, this will apply Bless to you every single turn. So 2 very synergetic items. Also, the Reviving Hands Gauntlets, which is a medium armor, also gives you Blade Ward. So if you're not wearing the armor persistence, put this thing on, put on the Reviving Hands, and you have permanent Blade Ward, meaning you're taking half physical damage while having this. Also, this gives a +1 to your armor class, so that's awesome. Most helmets don't. This is the only one that does. +1 to saving throws, so higher chances of succeeding on a spell. You can't be stunned, which is another nice benefit. And on top of that, attackers can't land critical hits against you. So 4 benefits from this, and it can stack with other items. Hel of Baldur is S tier. 1, because it gives you the +1 armor class, but 2, you also can't get critical hit or stunned, plus you also heal for 2 at every turn. So while the healing is not major, it'll only give you like maybe 6 health per encounter. That's still health that you wouldn't get, and it'll give you also Blade Ward and Bless if you got that all set up. So it can actually be very powerful. This is good on a cleric, so you can continually give yourself healing and heal the rest of the team as well, and get all the benefits of that. So it's nice. +1 armor class and saving throws is huge, but all the other benefits are massive as well. Next, we got Viconia's Walking Fortress. This is a shield with a +3 to it, which is really nice. It also comes with a few different benefits too. So this can be acquired in Act 3. It also gives you the Rebuke of the Mighty. So when a foe hits you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction and deal 2 to 8 force damage and knock it prone unless they succeed a dexterity saving throw. Very nice. So if someone comes in and attacks you, bang, you can Captain America, smack them with your shield, and knock them down on the ground. Also, it gives you Spell Guard. So this is actually really, really good. It gives you advantage on saving throws against spells, and spell attacks against you have disadvantage. So you're going to have an increased chance of succeeding on your saving throws. So if you get a fireball, you're more than twice likely to succeed it. And then on top of that, if someone does Scorching Ray, they have disadvantage on attacking you with that. So this is another easy S tier because it just adds so much to you. +3 armor class as well is extremely nice. Most shields, I guess pretty much every shield is +1 or +2. So to get a +3 shield with all those extra benefits against spells is really nice. This goes great on pretty much any build, but I would recommend having your cleric or like a wizard potentially having this because it just brings so many benefits. +3 armor class is huge. Even if it didn't have anything else, it's still very good. Plus, it also has the reflective shell, so this is a class action that it envelops you and deflects any projectiles targeted you from their point of origin. So this is a 2-turn bonus action that you can use with this. That'll just reflect arrows back to the targets, any projectiles. And on top of that, it also gives you Warding Bond. So you can give a +1 armor class at saving throws and apply this to someone else. Warding Bond is really nice, but not something I use often with it, but the reflective shell is really good. So easy S tier just because it's so powerful. Next, we have the Mask of the Shapeshifter. So this is a deluxe edition item that you can get, and it's acquired early in Act 1. It gives you just Shapeshift. Now, Shapeshift actually pretty useful in some situations. So let's say you're in Act 1, and you get the legendary Sword of the Astral Plane from Voss, somehow. If you have that, it gives benefits to a Githyanki. And let's say you're just playing as a human or an elf. You won't get those extra benefits for the Githyanki. But if you use the Mask of the Shapeshifter, shapeshift into a Githyanki, you get all the benefits. So that would be its really biggest benefit. For a head slot, it doesn't give you any other nice, really great things. It's just shapeshift. So shapeshift's good because you can put this on a fighter who wouldn't normally get it and then get all the benefits of being a Githyanki. So it is pretty good. But I'm going to put it in the D tier because I try to keep these lists balanced and not put everything up in the higher tier. People do get upset anytime I put something down there. I'm not saying it's a bad item. It's just compared to the other legendary items, it only has shapeshift compared to like all the bonuses you get from this helmet. So yeah, I'm going to put it in the S tier. Next, we got the armor or the Veil of the Morning. So this is acquired from Gortash, and this one kind of stinks. 10 armor class clothing, so hey, that's all right. +2 armor class as well. That's really nice. But the benefit, let the undead blanch with fear. Undead have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. Okay, that's good. At this point in the game, there's not too many undead. We mostly fight the undead in like Act 1 and 2. And you have an advantage on saving throws against their actions and spells. And then you also get Turn Undead as a spell. This is actually kind of lackluster in terms of its benefits. The +2 armor class and 10 armor class base for clothing is pretty good, but like the undead blanch with fear is not that great because we're not going to be fighting too many undead at this point in the game. So I feel like it's just not as useful as the others. So I'm going to put it in the C tier. Just again, trying to keep this list balanced. Don't want to put everything up high. So yeah, we're putting that there. Next, we got the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation. So like the Gloves of Soul Catching, this is a very specific to a monk build. However, there are some builds that can also, like a barbarian, benefit from this. So what it does, it gives you the Defier's Rejuvenation. So whenever the wearer succeeds on a saving throw against the spell, against any spell, they regain 1 to 4 health. So a nice little passive heal. And we get the Greater Kashigo counter. When the wearer can use a reaction to make an unarmed strike against any attacker that misses. So in melee range, you can use that reaction. It basically gives you a riposte, and then it'll also proc any benefits from the Gloves of Soul Catching. And this is a 10 armor class, similar to the Veil of the Morning, +2 armor class. It just has better benefits. Even if you're not going to be using like a fighter build, it just gives you better benefits than the Veil of the Morning. And it's easier to get, and it'll give you healing. So yeah, that's a pretty good one. I'm going to put it in the A tier because on a monk, these 2 items are pretty much essential, but they are extremely powerful. So definitely don't want to go without them. Next, we got the Armor of Persistence. This is what I think to be the best armor in the game. It's only very rare, so it's not like the Dusk armor. The Dusk armor gives you 21 armor class. This only gives you 20. The Dusk armor gives you -3 to all damage sources. This only gives you -2. But this also will give you resistance, so a +1d4 to your saving throws. So that's really nice. In addition, it'll also give you Blade Ward, and that halves physical damage. So we're going to be taking less damage. We're going to be resisting spells at a higher frequency. We get -2 to the damage. This does have disadvantage on stealth checks, which is common for all heavy armors, but this is a really powerful armor. In most cases, I think it's actually stronger than the Dusk armor because of the Blade Ward that it brings. However, you can get Blade Ward if you're wearing like this helmet and the Reviving Hands and that armor, so there are ways to kind of circumvent it, but this also gives you resistance for the 1d4 of saving throws. So I think in a nutshell, this is actually a bit better defensively. Not to mention, this armor looks really freaking cool. The Dusk, I don't like. It has this little face and the little horns coming out of it. It just looks like a necromancer armor, which it's cool. Like, it's still a cool armor, but I think this one's cooler. This is like, when you think heavy armor, you think armor persistence. Not that appearances make a big difference, but it's all about the bling. Yeah, the resistance and Blade Ward that this gets is extremely useful. So I'm putting armor persistence in the S tier. Next, we get the Robe of the Weave. Now, this is a pretty useful one. Robe of the Weave is kind of like a spellcaster's best friend because it'll give you a +1 to spell save DC and +1 to spell attack rolls. Higher chance of hitting your spells, always great with us. This also gives us the Weave Eater, so whenever the wearer succeeds a saving throw against a spell, they regain 1 to 6 health points, so similar to the Veil of the Morning, but this does 1d4, this is 1d6. And then also we get a +2 to armor class, so the Robe of the Weave is extremely nice, but if you're a spell, like if you got a wizard like Gale, who's very squishy, 10 armor class +2 armor class, so it's 12 armor class from this, versus the 21 that you can get from the Dusk armor. The Dusk armor is probably a better choice if you got it. However, the Robe of the Weave is nice. It looks pretty cool. You can make yourself look kind of like Goku with it, so that's cool. I am going to put the Robe of the Weave in the B tier because the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation has very similar benefits, similar armor class. This just gives a little slight benefit to spellcasters, but you're almost better off putting them in heavy armor if possible. Even if you have 11 levels of Sorcerer, Wizard, you name it, take 1 level of Tempest Cleric. That gives you heavy armor and a reaction, and you can use heavy armor with it. So, yeah, there's better options, I feel like. Next, we got something really crazy with the Ballast armor. This, you have to be somewhat evil to get. You have to take out the little elephant fart dude to get this, but you can kind of do some mental gymnastics to justify that if you're doing a good playthrough. Now, this gives us Aura of Murder. This gives vulnerability to all enemies within it's so the tooltip says 2 meters, but it's actually 3 meters of distance. So vulnerability means they take double damage. You can see how that's really good. Now, this works on a variety of builds like rangers, rogues, fighters, you name it. You get a good benefit if you have like a piercing weapon because it's only vulnerability to piercing damage. And it's only if they're not resistant or immune to piercing damage. So if they're resistant to piercing, they're not going to get that reduction to it. So you got to be mindful of that. However, this works really well if you have crossbow expert, because that means you can do melee attacks with crossbows, which are piercing damage. So Gloomstalker Ranger works really well with this. This is another S tier item. This could be the best armor in the game because applying vulnerability doubles your damage. Baldur's Gate 3 is all about the amount of damage you can put out and survive. So if you can take out enemies quicker, that means you take less damage, which means you win more encounters. So easy S tier. It could potentially be the best armor in the game. I just think the armor persistence brings a lot more benefits to most players than the Ballast armor will, because you kind of have to build around it, but it's still definitely an S tier item because vulnerability to piercing damage is just bonkers. Absolutely powerful. So yeah, easy S tier. Finally, we got the Armor of Agility, which I've been saying a lot of good things about armor here, but I think the Armor of Agility is also really, really good. Now, I would say it's tied with the Armor Persistence. The Armor Persistence is 20 armor class, but the Armor of Agility is 17, but it adds your full dexterity modifier to your armor class. So if you have a 22 in your dexterity, that's +6 to the armor, so it's 17 +6, and then it also doesn't impose disadvantage on stealth checks. And it gives you a +2 to saving throws. So I think the armor agility probably is, if you want to have the highest armor class possible, this is your best friend. Also, if you got a rogue, put them in this. No disadvantage on stealth. Very, very useful. So the rogue can go with either ballast armor or the armor of agility. This is just extremely useful. So I'm going to put it up in the S tier. It could potentially be the very best armor in this game because, yeah, it just brings so many benefits. That 17 armor class plus your dexterity modifier is huge. Any class that you have in the game that's dexterity based should probably wear that because the armor class boost is so huge. But it works best with like a Gloomstalker Ranger mixed with an Assassin. I think that's ideal if you got a dex based version of that. Very, very good. So there it is. That's all the armor that I chose for this tier list. I may do another one at a future date with different armor, but I just wanted to talk about some of the best armors in this game and kind of rank them. They could all go up a bit. They could all go up a tier. I just try to keep this balanced and not put too many in the S tier. I did legendary weapons tier list yesterday, so you can check that out on my channel. Some people didn't like that I put one down in the F tier, but I do try to keep these somewhat balanced so I don't just say everything is awesome. Trying to keep it real with everyone. So yeah, don't insult me if you don't like my placements. I had to delete a few comments yesterday. It's unfortunate, but the way it is. If you found this video fun or useful, please hit the subscribe button below. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you all in the next video.